We have some major breaking news as it has been announced that Austin Hill has been suspended from the NASCAR Xfinity Series race at Iowa Speedway for intentionally wrecking Eric Almirola at Indianapolis. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. As I just said a second ago, we got some pretty massive major breaking news this late afternoon as it has been announced that Austin Hill has been suspended from the NASCAR Xfinity Series race at Iowa Speedway. Here's a statement from NASCAR today. NASCAR officials penalized Xfinity Series driver Austin Hill on Tuesday, suspending him for one race for his actions in last Saturday's race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Of course, Austin Hill had intentionally wrecked Eric Almirola during the NASCAR Xfinity Series event. Eric Almirola had called on the officials as well, definitely intentional, in interviews after this. And also, this will mean, and news as well continuing on, Austin Hill's absence from a regular season race will require a waiver so they may retain his eligibility for the Xfinity Series playoffs. Under a rule established for the 2025 season, he will forfeit his total of 21 playoff points and be eligible to collect more before the postseason began. Also was an announcement of a safety violation as well from the two other people. And one thing also mentioned in that as well, I believe that Christopher Bell has not been penalized in any way, shape, or form for what happened during the Cup Series race, because I think they looked at that situation in the Bell situation in case where he right-reared Shane Smith. That was not an intentional crash. I think they looked at that and said, yeah, he didn't intentionally mean to wreck him, just made a really, really bad move. But there's a couple things to look at this. Number one, Austin Hill being suspended for the next race. I personally think Austin Hill should have been suspended for maybe more races for what he did, not just because of what he did to Eric Almirola. That's a one-race suspension no matter what when you right-rear somebody down the straightaway. But number two, he was telling NASCAR to screw off, and I think that's another big reason why Austin Hill has been suspended as well. Now, Rich Choice Racing, at the time I'm recording this, they have not announced if they're going to appeal it or not. I have to think there's a chance they may try to appeal it, and if they do, might put that in update in as well. But RCR is probably really pissed about it. So let's go back through what happened at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We did a video diving in onto this. So Saturday night during the NASCAR Xfinity Series race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, with around 10 laps to go in the event, around 9 or 10 laps remaining, Austin Hill and Eric Almirola, I believe, were battling for around 5th or 6th position in the race. And Eric Almirola had gotten to the back of Austin Hill going into turn number 3. He moved them up the racetrack, and Austin Hill, say what you want to say, had a really impressive save going there. But he had white gloves on and would turn left and right rear Eric Almirola into the outside wall. What made the situation worse was that was a non-safer barrier area where Eric Almirola hit the outside wall. Meaning, and he said this as well after the incident had taken place, that basically that's what hardest hit he has had since the Kansas crash in 2017. And what makes it worse, like I mentioned a second ago, is that it's in a non-safer barrier area. Now, I don't know why they have no safer barrier in that area of the racetrack. I personally think that needs to be addressed. And I think Doug Bowles and everyone over there at Indianapolis Motor Speedway can probably address that going forward, why that has not taken place. And then, of course, there was a radio communication between Austin Hill and the NASCAR officials. NASCAR handed Austin Hill a 5-lap penalty for what happened here. And Austin Hill went on a rant basically telling F NASCAR, F this, F that on the radio. Then Richard Childs came out and defended Austin Hill, which isn't shocking and surprising, but they tried to play the excuse of the blue-collar team shtick, which, again, you're worth $250 million, Richard. You own a winery. You can't play that shtick anymore. It's been 30 or 40 years since you could have claimed yourself as a blue-collar team. This penalty, I think, is generally pretty justified. Again, I would have given him a 2-race suspension, not just because of the right rear, but because of the radio stuff that came out from that. But absolutely 100% NASCAR made the justified call to suspend Austin Hill. And there's a precedent from prior instances. You think about 2 prior instances that happened on high-speed ovals. Going back to 2022 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, during the playoff race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Kyle Larson had forced Bubba Wallace up into the outside wall. Then Bubba Wallace, going down the straightaway, who just won the Brickyard 400 recently, would right rear Kyle Larson down the straightaway and hit the outside wall really hard. And Christopher Bell got collected in that crash and incident as well. He also shoved and got into a little bit of a fight with Kyle Larson a little bit as he got into a shoving match with to him, which would lead to Bubba Wallace getting a one-race suspension at Homestead Miami Speedway. And then, of course, you did have John Hunter Nemechek get the chance and opportunity to drive the car. Then 2 years ago, I believe it was during the Coca-Cola 600, when Chase Elliott come back from his injuries from, I believe, a snowboarding accident, Chase Elliott would right rear Denny Hamlin down the straightaway, and he would get a one-race suspension at Gateway. Chase Elliott would basically be replaced by Corey LaJoie for that weekend, and Carson Osborne would end up driving a 7 car, as LaJoie was in the number 9 car for that weekend. Now, last year, there was the situation where Austin Dillon right rear Denny Hamlin down the straightaway. I think he should have been suspended for that. I don't understand why he wasn't suspended for the next week, but because they took away the win from the playoff eligibility, that's my guess of why he didn't get a suspension for that incident and situation. And I know Richard brought up the situation with Austin, but like I mentioned a second ago, you do have to take into effect the high-speed oval situation, and high-speed ovals, NASCAR looked at that. You have to look at the speeds. What Austin Hill did was absolutely unacceptable and completely uncalled for by Austin Hill. It's just ridiculous what you do on the racetrack. And this is not the first time that Austin Hill has intentionally wrecked a driver. Think about the situation last year at Charlotte. During the caution of the race, Austin Hill intentionally wrecked Cole Custer into the inside wall. I think he left-reared him down the straightaway. I thought he right-reared him down last year. Turns out he left-reared him down the straightaway under caution, which should have gotten him a lot more trouble than he did. I think he got a 50-point fine, if I'm not mistaken, for the incident that happened there. And I think NASCAR is making a hard stand saying you cannot do that. You can't right-rear somebody down the straightaway. I think that's justified. The other big thing, they, of course, are going to have to go for a playoff waiver. But the other thing, like I mentioned earlier, Austin Hill has lost all his playoff points. If you get suspended for one race, you have to go for a playoff waiver, and you can no longer use that playoff waiver to get all your playoff points back. Now, RCR, again, like I mentioned, has not appealed the penalties here, and I don't know if they're going to. They're probably going to release a statement in some way, shape, or form very, very soon. But I think that this is basically NASCAR, because this is a rule they brought in this year. If you right-rear somebody, intentionally wreck somebody, don't miss something for a medical waiver, a medical situation, you can lose all your playoff points in that situation. And that is the thing I 100% agree with. If you right-rear somebody down the straightaway, you should be suspended. And NASCAR is making the right call here, in my opinion. You don't right-rear somebody down the straightaway in a dangerous situation. And NASCAR doesn't want drivers doing this. They have to send a message. There has to be a clear line at this point. I mean, when you have Kyle Larson on the radio saying that that was clearly intentional, and you have people in the broadcast booth saying that, yeah, you absolutely have to penalize him here. The other big question is, who will drive the number 21 car this week at Iowa Speedway? I would have to think maybe Kyle Busch or Austin Dillon are the favorites to drive that car. I've seen some people suggest people like Caden Honeycutt get the opportunity to drive it. I think that would certainly be very, very interesting. But going back to this, again, this is a very consistent precedent. If you right-rear somebody at a high-speed oval, you're going to get a pretty massive and really, really big penalty. And I think NASCAR absolutely made the justified and right call in this situation to suspend him. I really wish they would have suspended him for a couple races, because he's not a first-time offender to wrecking people intentionally. This is his second or third time minimum that he has done this, and he's lost his temper. And I really hope with this 1 week cool-down period that Austin Hill can learn from this. He's not a young driver. He's not like 21 or 22 like Carson Hocevar is. Austin Hill is 31 years old, and someone that people talked about going Cup Series racing a few years ago. So in my opinion, I think NASCAR made the absolute right and justified call, and I'm glad to see Austin Hill has been suspended for the Xfinity Series race at Iowa Speedway. It's the only call that I think they could have made in this situation and in this incident, in my honest opinion. So that is going to be tonight's special breaking news report on Austin Hill being suspended for the Xfinity Series race at Iowa. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go below that and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. You think the call was right to suspend Austin Hill for the upcoming race at Iowa Speedway, or you think the penalty should have been harsher for Austin Hill? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, we're going to have a NASCAR news video. We're going to talk about the Austin Hill penalty that came out. We're going to talk about the playoff discussion around the future of the playoff format, some Call It Racing silly season speculation as well. We don't know what's going on with that. We're also going to talk about people like Haley Deegan, Shaman Gisbergen, Carts, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain, Sheldon Creed, Sam Mayer, Cody Safar, and Dodge Ram, Connor Zilch, Red Bull, Carson Quapfold, you name it, all the good stuff. The lawsuit between 25 and front row, Michael Jordan, Bubba Wallace, Riley Herbst, you name it, all the good stuff we'll be talking about on the channel in the coming days and weeks. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.